All right, guys, you're live. What's up, everyone? I'm gonna add Matthew. He's in the house too. What's going on, Matthew? How's everything with you, man? Hi, Matthew. You're live now. How's everything, man? So, hello, everyone in the chat. And let me just see if you guys can hear me well. Please just send a quick message.
Oh,
If you.
hello.
Hi, Matthew.
Hey,
Okay.
yeah, doing good. How you doing, Eddie?
I'm doing fine, brother. Glad to have you here today. It's going to be a very interesting show.
Nice. So we
Shout
starting
out.
right now?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, we love. Let me just shout out here for a couple
cool.
of guys here. Yeah, David J. Carroll. Definitely, I'm going to invite him to be on the show. Um, shout out to everyone in the chat. I will not get the jab. Yes, I needed a moderator sometimes. Not today. Matthew is a good guy. Is flat earther. But next time I have a glober here, like the pilot, I will definitely need moderators. He brought along like 50 people, 50 shills, along with what's his name, Mac Toon. But we are
But you're
fine
referring
today.
to Eddie. You're referring to the globe believing pilot that was on,
Like,
right? That guy,
yeah, man.
and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he had a whole crew of people in the chat. I
He
remember
did.
that. That was strange. But
Yeah, yeah, man. He was
you had some
weird.
pretty good shows. I've been watching your shows are pretty good. You know, So, but this one
Thank you.
should be pretty interesting as well, right?
It
I'm
will be. It
inter
will be.
I'm interested to see what you have in store, like
Okay.
the videos, or I'm
Okay.
interested to see how it's gonna go.
All right. So do you want me to go ahead and get started? I'll do my part and then you're free to do the rest of it. Is that okay?
Oh well, I'm not. I wasn't aware there was any form, but if you have like
No,
a
no, I saved
presentation,
the pictures. I saved the pictures that you sent me. Maybe you want to
okay, yeah.
comment on them. Okay?
Oh
All
yeah,
right.
I've been finding a lot. I was going through the city of Anaheim, and I found more abandoned train tracks. And I
Wow.
noticed that they poured the street right over the train tracks instead of removing. You know what I mean? Removing it.
Hmm.
I don't think I sent you those pics, but that was like yesterday, 2 days ago. And I thought how lazy the people didn't even remove the metal from the street. They just decided to pour, you know what I mean, the asphalt right over the this is lazy way they did it.
Yeah, yeah, man. They're lazy. They're just that's man. I have a good stuff to show today. So let me just have some
Cool.
shout outs here. David J. Caron, he sent to me. Let me add my screen back. Yeah, add to screen. So a couple of shout outs here, guys. So David J. Caron, he sent to me a great link, and I'm gonna be talking about it. Gino Tonelli from Italy, Jim Tree and Robert both worked on the restoration and enhancement of the Gleason's map. George Orwell is a Facebook friend. He is talking about making 2024 the Flat Earth year. Let's try to do that. John Bailey and Carl Taylor from New Zealand. Ross from Australia. Ross will be here talking about the moon. And all the crew from Flatten the Curve, Vitka, Gene, Mike Holland, Rob Taylor, Joshua Silva, Billy Z, Kevin Bobick, Francis Miller, Robert Nicholson, the pilot, and everyone in that amazing documentary. So I'm gonna get
Nice.
started. Oh yeah, let me talk. This is what David J. Caron sent to me. So back in 1992, there was a documentary, and the people tried to go to Antarctica. Okay, they flew from London to Cape Town, and when they got there, they thought that would be an easy trip to Antarctica, to the South Pole.
Yeah.
Guess what? They had to go back to London, fly to Rio, go to Santiago, and then go to the ceremonial South Pole. And when you look on the Gleason's map, you understand exactly what went on, you know? And I have a whole video about it. It's going to
Yeah.
come out this week. Man, crazy, crazy stuff. And
Yeah,
what else?
it seems to be like that. Every flight seems to have that element to it. That, like, for example, if I want to fly west, why do I fly north if I'm heading west? Almost
Exactly.
every flight has that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if I'm in California, if I want to fly to Japan, what I'm flying north, you know, and it just like
Right.
you showed the Gleason's map, it's legitimate. It seems to hold up,
Oh, yeah,
you know,
man.
it holds
Totally.
up,
Totally. All
right?
right.
Exactly.
So,
Like if I'm gonna fly to Japan, why would I fly north? And that's the truth. Is the Gleason map? I see it. I don't mean to interrupt you. Continue,
no,
please.
no, 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 no. You're definitely right. That's why, because we fly, you know, and there's a lot of stuff. Let's go ahead and get started because, you know, we have a lot of stuff to cover today. And I'm sorry,
Yeah.
people were saying that the show is only 75 minutes, but sorry, guys. Today is Monday morning here in Japan. It's like, you know, a busy day, just like the other days. All right, Matthew. What I have in mind is like Tartaria. What I see, the way I see, is actually the whole Roman and maybe Greek and Egyptian civilization in this region way before Columbus and everybody, you know, Colombo. So when we look on the flat Earth
Yeah.
map, you can see that the distances are not that great, you know, like, and especially here, man, here we have what we call the ocean currents, all right? See the ocean currents
Okay.
here?
Yeah, I see it.
It keeps circulating, okay? So to believe that these people were not able to reach this region here, you know, because I had a friend, she lived in Açores. Açores is a Portuguese island, and there is a U.S. base over there, okay?
Yeah, that's the Azores. Yeah, that's the. I guess
Azores,
that's the
yeah,
Portuguese thing.
yeah, we say Açores. So when she lived there, and she told me that the people there, they traded with the people here from the Caribbean and north of Brazil, you know, way before Columbus because of the ocean currents. You know, that's how they got there. You know, it you can understand here how the ocean currents work. Right? You go to Europe, anybody here, the Greeks and the Romans, they all knew this area. You know, so I want to get started with this video, extremely interesting from a researcher. Uh, so it's a little bit long, about 5 minutes, but it's going to be worth watching. So let me go ahead and this one here. Okay, so let's watch this one.
All right.
Remember a while back when I put out a video showing you proof that they unearthed an Egyptian temple while they were building a dam in Tennessee? That video got over 2 million views, and so many of you came to me afterwards looking for a follow-up. Well, I got to work and found something that's going to blow your mind. This book was published by a U.S. Senator from Kentucky in 1824, and it was the first real published history of Kentucky. Copies of this book that haven't been censored are very rare to find, and this one cost me over $1,000 to bring to you today. But once you see what's in it, you'll know why they work so hard to keep it away from you. Here we see that the principal nations of the eastern continent which have contributed to the people of North America and Kentucky were the Adelans and Kutans, who came easterly through the Atlantic Ocean, and the Istakans and Augusians, who came westerly through the Pacific Ocean. The nations which peopled the western shores of the eastern continent were the Gomerians in Europe and the Atlantes in Africa. The Atlantes formed a powerful empire in North Africa, which gave laws to many nations. Numerous revolutions and invasions took place among those nations, until at last the Atlantes of Africa united them all by conquest in one powerful empire, which extended over North Africa, Spain, France, Italy, parts of Greece, Asia, etc., and lasted many ages under several dynasties and emperors. It was during the splendor of this empire that America was discovered by some bold navigators who were led by the trade winds to the West Indies, in a few days from the Atlantic Islands. They called them the Antilla Islands, which meant before the land, and America was called Atala, or the Great Atlantes. He goes into great depth about these colonies, the different peoples, how they split up into the different tribes, how the colonies were eventually cut off from the rest of the world, and the Egyptians, many hundreds of years later, found them again, reestablished contact, and were eventually repulsed. So this is not just a general overview, it goes into great depth. It's very interesting that this initial belief that people came from North Africa to the Azores and then North America, where they had a colony, matches perfectly with the beliefs of the scholar who did the work on the temple in Tennessee. And he describes how they came from North Africa to the Azores and then to the area around Miami, Florida, where they named many of the different areas, such as Savannah. Savannah comes from Suwana, the Egyptian hieroglyphs meaning the place of trade. You can see that represented in this antique map with mound sites that are up the coast of Florida, culminating around the area where the river lets out in Savannah, Georgia, and traveling up that river to eastern Tennessee, where there's a huge colony, which is where the temple in Tennessee was found. And one very important point I'd like everybody to make note of is that to write this book in 1824, there were no previous sources. They went out into the field and asked the real histories and opinions of the First Nations people and tried to record them accurately. This is before 200 years of propaganda and historical revisionism that modern historians and archaeologists are all guilty of. Let me just say that I personally have no problem admitting that people, ancient peoples of North Africa, were fully capable of sailing and creating colonies. So let's start with some sources. This is the Smithsonian Institution's Bureau of American Ethnology's Bulletin number 118, directly from the Smithsonian's website. It's an archaeological survey of the Norris Basin in eastern Tennessee, and I believe it's 1938. You can see the main site that they were speaking about, site number 2, is just north of the Norris Dam site. And you can also see that it's not just the one site mentioned in the newspaper article. There were over 20 that were excavated during the entire operation, and each one had very interesting characteristics. This is the main site that was mentioned in the initial article, and you can see that there was a temple that was burnt down on top of the large slab that's 100 by 100 feet. They excavated off all the burnt material and found the pedestal that was in the center and burials that were around that site. They found unique features, several unique structures that were more similar to what you'd see in Mesoamerica than North America. And here's another angle. This is a large site, and this isn't even the main temple site that was mentioned in the newspaper article. This is another entirely different site. And you can see terraces very similar to what you'd see in Cholula in Mexico. Standing stones. Unique architectural features such as pillars and rock slabs that you don't normally see in mound sites. Raised burial slabs. Rock floors with more standing stones. And finally, what I consider the most unique and telling feature of the sites, the skeletons. Now, these would be the people who actually built the sites. They were buried within the sites and under the rubble that had been burnt down on top of them.
Okay,
Right.
that's awesome.
Isn't it amazing?
But okay, can we just take a moment and just like hold up a second? You know what I mean?
Okay.
We got to just
Yeah.
take a second and we got to let it sink in that our history is a lie. Okay? This sort of stuff we don't learn about it in school. I mean, it would be stuff that you would discover. These things are not taught in school. It's all in the United States. I could visit these places really close by, right? But what I want to say is that just as much as the globe theory is a lie, okay, just as much as that's a lie, our history is also a lie. Okay? Almost everything of our history. I think George Washington's a cool character. You know, he's a cool character. You know, Shakespeare is a cool character. It's difficult to even approach this information, people feel very uncomfortable about it. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, we read the Bible. We're Christian guys. You know, I know you're a Christian. I also, you know, I read the Bible. You know, I love God. I love the Son of God. You know, but also the Bible has been manipulated. I know the previous guest you had on really quickly said he did not want to talk about how the Bible has been manipulated. I feel that that's not fair. It's not honest to say, to not even approach that. How much?
I lost you.
Okay,
Oh, you're
but
back. You're back.
how much has the Bible been manipulated, and in what way has it been manipulated? These are honest questions. Okay, for example, a huge one is the book of Enoch. Okay, we could discuss the book of Enoch. Before our Bible was decided on, allegedly by the Romans, right? That's his story. The
Right.
Romans decided what became our Bible. Now, what reason would they have to not include the book of Enoch, right? And Enoch is mentioned multiple times. So it's not just some made up side story. These people had an agenda. Okay? You know what I mean, Brother Eddie?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You hear what I'm saying?
Just like the guy
I'm
says,
not,
all the archaeologists, the historians, they're all covering this whole thing up, you know? Hmm.
yes, yes. And I feel the Bible is a provision that God has given us. But the controllers, every step of the way, have manipulated it. And the next part of that deception is similar to a show you did. The guy, what was his name? Danny Faulkner, the
Yeah, Danny
Globe
Faulkner.
preacher.
Yes.
I I think that could be the next step in the manipulation, is that they're going to put globe in the Bible. I think
Yes,
that could be the
definitely.
next.
I believe
That, I mean, what?
the Bible in Portuguese, I believe they already include it. I was listening to a couple guys on a Brazilian talk live stream, and the Portuguese Bible in Brazil got globe all over, you know? So that's the way it is. I agree. They
And
manipulate, they control, they control the seminars, the Bible, the printing companies that print the Bible. Yes, they do. You know, uh,
that's
I
that's
mean,
part
the
of
whole
it.
thing is hidden. Go ahead.
It's all propaganda. It's propaganda to control the mind, the spirit, the body, um, even time. I was trying to think about how to put it all together and explain it, that the globe deception and the deception about our history, which maybe it's not even history of humans. It was the previous people. They may or may not have been like us. But where I'm going with this is that the manipulation of the time, like there's evidence to suggest that we're 1,000 years off where we should be.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
everything is a lie, even our time. Like what I feel is it's to separate us from God. The propaganda, the lies, it's all coming from the devil to separate us from God. The globe deception, that's to separate us spatially. You know, instead of heaven being above us, it doesn't exist. You know, it's infinite nothing instead of
Right.
God being above us. and the deception of the time. Like if we're 1,000 years off, they can say, you know, like the historians, oh, well, Jesus never came back, and it's been 2,000 years and he's still not back. When in
Exactly.
reality, if they're lying about the time, it's right on time. Hence the increase of the deception, which is the special time we're in where it's all falling apart. It's all their lies are falling apart. You know, big shout out to all the flat earthers, you know, exposing NASA. You know, everything NASA does, it's a fail. You know, and people are right on top of it, exposing it. So that whole delusion is falling apart. Every delusion is falling apart. I say praise God that their lies like nothing. And I feel that it's all coming together. I forget where I'm going with this rant, but
That's all right.
you know what I mean? But
Yeah, I
history is a
totally.
lie.
History is a
Okay,
lie.
history is a lie. Okay, and then United States, like what I see is United States probably was this ancient, powerful kingdom, and instead of like the video you played, right? Okay, you played the video of the gentleman showing in Tennessee that they had Egyptian ruins,
Right.
right? Egyptian style ruins in Tennessee, and the truth is it probably opposite. They came from United States and went. You know, I think that's
Perhaps,
what happened. And you know,
yeah,
maybe
perhaps the other way
like if,
around.
but they
Yeah.
were all united. That's the interesting thing is like the Gleason map, it looks like a big pie or, you know, like a pizza or, you know, like a cake. And then every little part, there's 24 parts. And
It's
there
all
is an elder.
connected. All connected.
Yeah. Now, the Bible describes 24 elders that sit before the throne. I think that is part of it too. Like if the throne's in the center, then there's 24 around it, right? It's
Time
beautiful.
zones right here.
Yeah, it looks great. But man, I forget where I'm going. I'm getting really off track here. But Tartaria,
Then,
they had it set up to where the whole earth was like delineated. Like from wherever their kingdom was on earth, there was a corresponding area of the ice wall, perhaps, that they stopped people, kind of similar to how
right.
they do now in the past. Like they had it all set up. But
Yeah.
my question is, what happened on the earth? Because there was cataclysms on the earth. Now, if our history is a lie, so we have to look at the facts. We have to look at the earth and what happened. I mean, we could see that there was devastation on the earth. We could see that there were buildings melted. We
Right. I
can
do have a
see that there
picture
was
here.
like, yeah,
This
what do
one
you
here.
got?
Some.
But what I wanted,
This is a melted structure. You know, it's been melted.
yeah, let's see it. Let's see it. Yeah, you could
Yeah.
tell it was something first. It was like it had more of a shape, and it wasn't like water did that. That looks like it was like burned. See,
Burns.
it's so strange. There's different types of evidence. Like, I should have sent you the pics of it, where it's like huge columns look sliced, huge columns, and petrified trees are also sliced. I don't
Right.
know how to explain that one. You know, like you probably seen that. There was some devastation on the earth, and it goes back to the Bible that when the flood of Noah came, see, the book of Enoch describes that event also, that there was not just the flood of water, but there was destruction on the earth. And man, that looks great.
All right.
But
So
I'm,
let
but
me
you know
go
what I
to the
mean?
next point here. Also, we have records that the Mongols had been to Mexico. Okay. So first I drew as if they had sailed. But then I remember that back in time, this region here used to be Mexico. You know, Mexico was all the way California. So I want to show this video also, and then we continue. Okay, let me play this one real quick. This is only 1 minute.
No.
I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
why
yeah.
you're talking like you got books before 1492 to prove a matter, because I know damn well you do not. I know you don't have this information. But me, I do. Look at the title of this book. We talking about the 13th century. The 13th century. The 13th century talking about when the Mongolians came to invade America. Something that I know you do not know. You can go download this book yourself. Go download this book yourself on the Internet Archive. This is real history that took place. This tells you where the Native Americans really came from, the first wave of the Native Americans. It didn't happen no 10,000 years ago. It didn't happen no 25,000 years ago. That's right, son. That's right. It happened in the 13th century. The second time they came was the Chino slavery, and the last time the gold rush.
All right.
No,
So
it's
this,
opposite. They came from United States. They went every direction from the United States.
yeah,
I'm trying to get my thoughts together because it is kind of like a big way, but I want to describe it like Atlantis was destroyed with the flood of Noah. Okay, that if you can put that together, right? Like Atlantis, that was real.
yes,
That
yes.
was a worldwide kingdom that it's called the antediluvian era. Like before the flood, there was this worldwide, like unified culture, like the Bible describes, one language. But these people were wiped out with the flood, which caused what we call the mud flood, which is really just resulting the burial from the water coming down. If you could imagine that, I try to describe it, but when the water came down, it washed around all the dirt, all the sand, and that's what the mud flood is. It was a result of Noah's flood. But that ended the Atlantis people. The next cataclysm was the Tartarian Empire, which we see they had the whole earth like unified, but they ended with the Great Cataclysm, which is hard because no one really has like direct, testimonial evidence of what happened. We just have stories. There was some type of fire. There was some, almost every culture has it, like Ragnarok, the destruction of the earth, everything. It was a burning. Maybe what I think they could have done was they weaponized the sun. Just like in Greek mythology, how, who is it? Phaeton took the chariot of the sun and could not correctly wield it, and it caused destruction. That's what I think happened. Now, it was those two things, cataclysm, and we can only, it's like our history wants to avoid that. That is such a painful memory in human DNA that we shut down. And it could even be that God does not want us to remember what happened. It was that bad. People could have been vaporized with their clothing, nothing left, not even dust left. And then if you see the devastation of the buildings were melted. It's like how hot did it have to be to melt the bricks? Right? If bricks are made in an oven, how hot would a concentrated heat been to produce what we see? You know what I mean, Brother Eddie?
Oh,
We
yeah, yeah,
see
yeah.
it.
Yeah, we
But,
see the
but there's
remains.
no, yeah, like humans, what I think is the humans lived in the tunnels underground, which are everywhere.
Right.
They probably had to eat each other to survive. It was like living in a hell. Like if you could imagine like people underground with fire, there was just lava, probably devil type people. The archetypal hell reality is probably what humans lived through underground while the earth was being burnt. It's very strange, to believe that our history was handed to us by the Freemasons, which is it's honest to say that, or whatever the Jesuit Catholic Church, whatever controlling faction, you know what I mean, was there at the
Yeah.
time. Whoever was in control at the time, but we were all handed a narrative. And I think it's just too painful for humans to even remember it. Like the people could have just been so happy to be free from the underground hell, and then when they were released up, like 200 years ago?
Yeah.
How long ago? When did our history really begin? But they were probably just so happy to see the sun, blue sky, fresh air. They didn't want to even remember what happened. And then anybody that talked about it, they just threw them into an insane asylum, right? And then they would lobotomize them. That's terrible.
It is.
But that's reality.
Yeah.
It's very sad, but I like the truth, and the truth is there was devastation. Humans were much more advanced.
Right.
We were like rodents, honestly, compared to the people that were here. We were like rodents.
Definitely. I'm going to go ahead and show this one is about some underground tunnels and cities covered in mud. This was in Kansas. Okay, let's see this one.
Heard about an amazing underground discovery in Leavenworth. We had to send a reporter to get some video. KCTV5 Saray Chin is live now with what she found underground. Saray?
Well, Carolyn, this is downtown Leavenworth, but below my feet, there's an underground mystery down here that not a lot of people know about or can tell us why it was created.
Wow.
We take our descent to the incredible mysteries below.
So it definitely does look, this is obviously a door.
It is dark and musty.
We're gonna go up here and you're gonna be in another storefront.
It is a city perhaps long ago used for commerce. Windows, doors, and narrow paths lead you to the storefronts.
They were stores of some type. We just don't know what they were selling, who was running them.
Jennifer Lemon serves as our tour guide. She works for a title company upstairs and gave us access to the underground.
We know that it was pretty secretive, whatever it was that was down here, because not too many people know anything about it.
Above is downtown Leavenworth at 4th and Delaware. The underground world stretches several city blocks and possibly beyond. Some speculate this was created in the 1800s. It could have been used during slavery or for fugitives. And then there are the myths and tall tales.
That is cool. That's like a torture chamber off of a movie.
Katie Ryan is the editor for LV Magazine and has been researching the mysteries below.
You just think of the underground, as such a dark, spooky place, but to think that this could have maybe been some kind of vibrant economic center is just kind of baffling, really.
Construction workers are in the middle of a streetscape project, and some worry about history being erased.
I think it would just be kind of tragic if, no one knew what it was, or that if no one cared.
So we've only touched the surface of this underground world. There are several of these so-called vaults. Some have been used for breweries, but this particular location talked to so many people who didn't even know this existed, and if they do, they can't tell us the historical significance. So the mystery holds on. Reporting live in Leavenworth, Saray Chin, KCTV5 News.
All right, brother. You see there, the whole town I don't
They
know.
have,
Here in Japan, we have these underground galleries, and it seems like 1700s, 1800s, they already had in America.
yes, yes. And then it was funny how the people, they weren't curious about how was that even possible that the people built down there. They weren't
Yeah.
curious about how was it possible they could displace the earth, perfectly build like that underground.
In
And the
the
reason
middle
is
of Kansas. Can you imagine
the
here?
middle of nowhere. Yeah,
Middle
right?
of
Like,
nowhere.
okay, like okay, how much money did they have? How much manpower did they have? How much free time did they have? Like they're constantly at war, right? So we're constantly at war, constantly destroying. But somehow, magically, there's unlimited resources to do all this abandoned underground tunnels everywhere, right? The
Exactly.
history is alive. It was the truth was when the flood came, right? The flood of Noah, all that water pushed around the earth, all the dirt. You know what I mean? You following what I'm going with
Yes,
this?
yes,
That's
that's what
why
I
we
always say.
that that's why we have fossils of shells, whale bones, everything, sharks. They're up on mountains. And it's not because, fake plate tectonic theory. It's because when the water came, it washed over everything, just like the Bible says. And now the truth is, America was a powerful ancient kingdom, probably the correct land of the Bible. Okay? I'm not knocking the Bible. I'm just saying it's been manipulated. History has been a total manipulation. Um, but yeah, it's like how are they able to do any of that?
Exactly.
I'm getting off track here because we're showing a lot of good stuff, but
Yeah,
it is like the middle of nowhere. How is it possible that the people were able to do that? But oh, okay, I remember where I was going. I remember where I was going. This is such a big conversation that it goes in multiple directions. Okay, when the flood came, all that water pushed around the earth, and the dirt, when the water was on the earth, that dirt buried this stuff. All these buildings that we see, like how you showed Leavenworth, Kansas, okay?
yeah,
Leavenworth, Kansas. The people didn't dig down and start building perfect structures underground. That's incorrect. The buildings were there. Then the flood came and buried it. That's why, like, why would they have windows underground?
right.
Right? It's incorrect thinking to assume that they built down there. Another beautiful example is if you think of Venice, Italy, like that's a city, but there's water, right? Because
Exactly.
the
Yes,
water came down, right? But the water
yes.
did not completely dissipate. Maybe there was some sort of pressure, like the flood of Noah released a certain type of pressure. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like when it
Yeah,
opened, the bubble
I've
opened,
heard.
water came down.
I've heard someone saying, like, for example, today we know that the oceans, the water covers 71% of Earth. That before the flood, perhaps was like 50% only. So the water level was
Yeah.
lower. And
Yes.
perhaps,
Yes. Yeah.
after the flood, we have more lakes and stuff like that. Yeah, those lakes here.
Yeah. Which is
So,
another interesting thing. Like the North Pole, there's no one can get a correct North Pole landmass. I was studying the ancient maps of the North Pole because I'm making a map also.
right.
No one has the correct, and I think it's because of the water. Like maybe in that area, it's very specific. Like it could be, I don't know. But that's
Very
interesting.
difficult to know. Very difficult.
But,
So I got
but,
one more clip.
you
This
know,
is another. I have
but,
one more clip. This is another city in
okay.
Wisconsin. Okay, so let's watch this one.
All right.
It seems
All
like
right, let's
every
take a
town
look.
in the Northland has its own unique history, and Ashland is no different. Underneath the streets of Ashland used to be an entire city, but due to a tragic accident and years of deterioration, the underground streets were filled in. Fox 21's Julia Russell shows us how history can still be seen today.
All it takes is a walk down the back stairway.
But back here,
to find what's left of Ashland's so-called underground city.
it was dark and dreary, and yeah, there was no lighting for sure.
If you look at Ashland now, it's pretty flat, but it didn't start out that way. In the 1800s, the town was uneven and fairly swampy.
Ashland was built on ravines.
When building the city, early settlers created structures that matched the natural landscape, so some businesses ended up being in the bottom of a ravine.
Instead of having this deep ravine for people to walk through or to drive through or get back and forth with their horses and buggies, they started to put boardwalks in.
The boardwalks were similar to railroad bridges and were built level to the top of Ashland's rolling ravines, so buildings in the valleys were underneath Ashland's main street.
And pretty soon, when you got to about 100 years, the bridges that were underneath the road started to collapse.
For 100 years, that's simply the way Ashland was.
It took some heavy traffic. We had the trolley line, we had a bus line, we had trucks that came down this street, so it was pretty sturdy.
It was a tragic accident, triggering the city to eliminate the boardwalk streets.
We did have a snowplow go through, and that was when the city became really aware that something had to be done.
In 1980, the lower level shops were boarded up, and the once deep ravines were filled with sand, leaving the now basements of Ashland's oldest buildings with doors and windows leading nowhere.
And it gives you just a little bit of an eerie feeling knowing that people could go out those walls, and now it's completely enclosed.
There's only a handful of buildings left with lingering history hidden in the basement, two of them being Ashland's museum and the new location of the Schwamigan Food Co-op. So next time you're driving down Ashland's main street, you'll think of the unplanned history that's left stories and hidden treasures buried and boarded up.
It really wasn't a system, it was just the way it ended up being built.
With photojournalist Devin Elmore, Julia Russell, KQDS Fox 21.
All right, man. You see another buried city in Wisconsin.
It's nice. In the middle of nowhere.
Yes, yeah. And you see, they try to give a version there that's not really the case, that people built the city up and down. I don't think that's the case. I think it was just like in Leavenworth, Kansas. The whole city was much, it was all buried, after the flood. So that's how I see it.
And I like how they mentioned different things. They said flat, they said level when regards to the earth. I appreciate that. But another thing that the lady mentioned was that doors leading nowhere, paths leading nowhere.
Windows.
Okay, now the
windows buried.
In my area, in the hills, right where the giant tree stump is, there's concrete paths to nowhere. I've seen that. There's infrastructure that's meant for waterways, that there's no water there. There's stuff that's built that goes nowhere. And that's the reason, is that it's different. The conditions are different than what it originally was going on. Oh, this is what I was sharing with you.
Yes, those are the pictures you sent.
Okay, look at, I've seen this so many times throughout my life, and I've always have felt curiosity when seeing this simple little area. Okay, this is a train bridge that's abandoned, right? It's out of use. It's over a man-made river. Now in my area, okay, beautiful. See this? This is old right here. This is like ancient ruins. And on one of the pics, it shows that the people tried to use steel reinforced beams to try to save this, right? And I tried to take a couple pics of it, and I sent it. Okay, right there. Maybe you could zoom in a little bit on that right there. Right? Yeah, that's on the outside. The people tried to fix it, but they couldn't. I think that's very interesting, but this is like ancient ruins. And now if you zoom out again, can you zoom to the left, where the yellow to the left? No, other side. Yeah,
right here.
Over there. Now, I could not get a good picture of it, but the earth is formed for those train tracks. It goes maybe half a mile, right? It's all off limits, but I'm very fascinated, and I'm curious as to how cowboy people, right, with no money, nothing, how they were able. I mean, I can't even take a picture of it. I've walked over there in the past, but I did not when I took these pics. But it's how did they do it? It's perfectly formed. Like you see this bridge, the train has to be level to go, right? Yeah. Now what came first? Was it the man-made river? Was it the abandoned train tracks? Or was it the earth moved, right? It's this little area, right? Homeless people live there, right? It's just, it represents a problem for the narrative, for the mainstream historical narrative. You know what I mean, Brother Eddie? Yeah. You see this?
Yeah.
Right there, that's a good one. See that? The earth, right? The earth is formed for those train tracks. And it's so astounding. And then to the cherry on top is that it's out of use, right? It's so irrelevant. It's so irrelevant, and it is discarded. How much manpower did it take? Do you see how big that is? And it goes back, like I said, like half a mile. It's formed, right? Wow. These people were earth movers, earth movers. And do you have more pics? We could continue. The other pics I sent you, look at that.
This one?
This is a look it's a man-made river. I sent you a few pics of it, and then I sent you also some pics of the LA River.
Okay.
They're all man-made. Okay, that one's not too great. But yeah, you see that? Okay, this is just one little area. Well, it's all good. We don't have to spend too much time on these, but I just was showing you that in my small area, this is a lot of infrastructure, right? And it was allegedly cowboy people. They tell us it was cowboy people that did that. It's a lie.
Oh yeah.
We just, it's like modern humans, we just woke up, like 200 years ago. Can you go back really quick?
Yeah.
Go back. Okay. Can you zoom in on that? Look at that. See how far back that goes? Just straight back. See that? Look at that's what it is. This is no CGI. This is reality. This is a man-made river. And a lot of them go underground, for miles underground. The homeless people live in there.
Wow.
And it's like, it's impossible. It's impossible for modern people to do this. You know what I mean? It's just impossible. And you see this little tunnel to the left. It's just, how were they doing that? How is it possible and that goes underground for miles. That feeds from the hills, right? It's amazing. And, people can just overlook it, with people with no curiosity, right? No imagination. People could look at that and just, oh, who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect my world,
Right.
But these simple things, right?
Also, the school system doesn't encourage you, because they already give you the fake history, since we are kids, you know. So there's no way that people can figure things out. How about this one here
Yeah.
you sent me?
Yes. Okay. I love this. I love these old pictures. You can see it's like it's buried. You could see that part of it is exposed, but you could see how it's
It
buried, and you
is,
could see the
yeah.
people were starting to excavate, and they found the entryways, and then they just enhanced it. But this is actually a huge area. Look, you could see the track goes it's pretty big.
But this
But yeah,
is
the Los
interesting.
Angeles Coliseum. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely buried, and they dug it up again, and now it looks like this today, huh? Something like this.
Yeah, it's fancy. You know, they paint it. You know, they get rid of what they don't want. Yeah, look at it. Bunch of people can go there and enjoy it. And I think the point of that architecture, the way that's built like that, it's for people to feel good energy, good vibes. I think that was the point of all of the cathedrals, all the works like that, is that when the people were near them, they could feel the positive energy. That's probably why they gather like that. And, you know, the controllers obviously can understand that too, how to profit from it.
Right,
But I
right.
think that was the point of all the ancient tech was to make life better for people. It was so people could travel around, and then it's like then the cataclysms started, then the evil started. But it's like, what part of the cycle are we on now? See, that's beautiful. See, they just dug it right out.
Yeah.
And how much is buried still? You know, like in comparison to the Colosseum in Rome, they had underground areas for the gladiators, the animals, and they could bring the people up to the higher levels. So I'm thinking if they dug up that field, like if they could really start doing excavation, they might find a lot more around there and in where the field is. But it's just proof, you know, it's more proof that the history is a lie. There was devastation on the earth. And just as much as the globe is a lie, it's like history is a lie. And I get it. It's all from the evil one to separate us from God, right? The truth, Jesus being the truth, will free us, but the lies are meant to trap us, like keep us, you know, keep us low.
Just like the evil
stuff.
one did with Eve, you know, lied to her, and you know, we all pay the price. But one more time looking at, that's why I like the Gleason's map. You can see that the interaction between peoples, and since we all had one language anyways, so you can see how easily it was to interact. Actually, I do have one more clip. It's from, they have Egyptian ruins in Australia. Have you seen this one?
I've seen some things, yeah. But let's
Yeah.
watch it. Whatever you got.
All
Let's
right,
take
let's
a look.
watch this one. This is the one here, Australia and Egypt. This is a clip actually from Ancient Aliens, so let's watch it.
Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. Deep in the Brisbane Water National Park is a mysterious site known as the Gosford Glyphs. The site consists of two massive 8-foot-high walls engraved with over 300 ancient carvings. Carvings that experts say do not resemble indigenous artwork, but Egyptian hieroglyphs. After deciphering the texts, 21st century Egyptologist Raymond Johnson believed them to reveal the burial site of Lord Nefertiru, a member of the Egyptian royal family, who died while visiting the area with his brother sometime between 2637 to 2614 BC. That's incredible. I had no idea. I mean, this looks totally different than on pictures. So what do these hieroglyphs say?
Well, at least one panel talks about two brothers, two princes, coming here from Egypt. They were shipwrecked. One of them ended up getting bitten by a snake. He then died. The theory is then he was interred here, and that's why you've got hieroglyphs here, because he died here. But there's these other walls with a mixture of symbols. This one over here, it's more of a philosophical astrophysics style thing with symbols meaning all sorts of esoteric stuff. So
now, have these symbols at all been interpreted by Egyptologists?
There've been a few, actually. A few different people have done that.
What was their reaction?
Well, Raymond Johnson was one of the first people to come here and translate. He actually sent some of his translations off to the Cairo Library, and Dr. Abu Diagazi ended up saying, yep, you're on the right track. Something called Proto-Egyptian.
And how old do you reckon these are?
We're thinking, because of their prevalence at least in one panel of Proto-Egyptian, that it's about 4,600 years old.
Wow.
All right, man. So, I mean, that's for you to see how close the whole world is. If you look at the flat Earth map, how connected at least it used to be.
Okay, my thoughts on the video, right? Okay.
Right.
I think the hieroglyphics are a smokescreen, okay? I feel like, yes, the people were definitely traveling, you know, from Australia, all over the earth. I understand.
Oh, yes. I think so.
Do you know what I was more interested in that video?
What?
The structure of the building those hieroglyphics were on. You know what I mean? Like, what was that? It was what was it? A wall or no? That was a previous video.
No, he just said that on the rocks. That's what he said, on the rocks.
Right, but the structure of what the hieroglyphics were on, that's kind of what I was thinking, like, yeah, what was, that's why I say the hieroglyphics may have been like a smoke screen, but I do know that there are definite similarities from every area. The further back you go, the more related they are. Now, what I wanted to talk about was, I don't know if it was one of your videos or maybe someone else had brought it up, but that in Japan, they do like sometimes Hebrew traditions. Was that one of your videos or was it a different? But that's true of the whole earth. The whole earth has that. But in Japan, those people, the people are called the Ainu people, right? Do you ever know about that? That they're the white, the original people.
I talked to my Japanese students about them. They were here before, you know, the Japanese people got here. So they are called natives, you know. But
and
thousands of years ago.
Right, they allegedly built the star forts, right? Like that are there. I think you had mentioned that, like in Hokkaido or something.
Right.
If they were the original people, and that could be a sensitive topic of discussion too, that in Asia there was the genocide of the white people. That's true.
Yeah, it could be because I think they found burial sites in China where the people were Caucasians. Yes.
So the further back in time they go, you see that the people were united. The language, just like the Bible says, the languages were united, the people were united, the whole earth. But where I was going with that is,
Do you think they might have gone against each other after division of the languages, maybe?
Wait, can you repeat that?
Do you think they might have gone like against each other after the division of the languages with the Tower of Babel?
Well, of course, because then they when they were united, they had a common purpose. But then when they were separated, they had to find different common purposes. So I could see that, and it probably wasn't just language, but they could have also had some type of telepathy as well, like that. I could imagine that God could have taken away people's like abilities at that time. You know what I mean? Like God limited the people because they were doing something bad and they were united. So what the bad things they were doing could increase. So God
Right.
had to limit that. So, but yes,
Yes.
there's still
Yes, and
interesting.
perhaps they were much more united before they tried to reach the skies with the Tower of Babel, and God separated them with the language, and then they became more aggressive towards each other. And you know, that I think perhaps that's what might have happened. You know, and they start killing each other. You know, just like having wars. You know, these people against that people, and because
Yes,
of the
yeah,
language. Yeah.
exactly. Well, not just that. I mean, there was the war with the Titans. The gods and the Titans going to war. There was the giants, the tribes of giants that they all died out. They were all betraying each other and died out. And we are like rodents, and we're still
Right.
here, but they're all past. And there's some idea in mythology that they're all like sleeping, like the Titans are sleeping. The giants, they're petrified, they're sleeping.
Right. Yeah. Many
It's
structures looks like right. They are sleeping giants.
cool.
Yeah, and I'm just checking the comments real quick here. Let me see what
Oh,
people
sure.
have to say. Man, we got like 200 comments. I haven't been keeping up
I
with
hope
them.
they're not trash talking me too much. I try to keep
No, no,
it
no,
like
no, 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 no. It's been a great. I mean, I never really had any specific video show talking about Tartaria because, as I said, I think it goes way before that. Not just Tartaria, but as we saw these Egyptians, these structures in Tennessee. Man, goes back, and probably the Mongols in Mexico City. I mean, this is crazy. And those books were written, in the 1300s. And the guy in Tennessee was a senator, U.S. senator, in 1824. He researched it. So, there's a lot of history being
But
hidden
remember,
from
we
us.
can't trust it though. We can't trust because they were doing propaganda from the beginning. Right? So
Definitely.
it's like
Yes,
there's some things that are real. There's some things that are not real.
that's right.
But definitely we could see the evidence. That's what I like, the facts of it.
Yeah,
And everybody has a different idea about it.
it's there.
I think it's in our DNA. When we see these structures, something in our DNA remembers that it's greater than us. Everything that was built was maybe even God made the earth perfect for humans.
Yes.
With buildings, rivers, all these functioning like the fountains of the deep could literally be like tunnels
Right.
straight
Right.
from down up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Super Mario Brothers.
Super Mario Brother.
Right?
You got it.
I don't know if you saw that. I watched that Super Mario Brothers movie, right? The two brothers, they were doing something in a sewer. They knocked a wall down, right? And then they went through and they could see it was like an infinite tunnels, like never-ending tunnels beneath us. And then beneath that was that fantastic mushroom universe. And it was all beneath us.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they are showing us, what's going on. They're showing
Yeah.
movies and everything. Okay, let me just send a
Evidence.
message real quick.
Any more people in the chat? Like, do they have comments, questions?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't, like, there were bricks, definitely, and I'm covering some stuff up. show the Star Series. So mentioning about the Hebrews or the Israelites or whatever, there's a whole show. Thank you. I just got a package here. A friend sent me a present. So I want to open here. So there's a whole show on Japanese TV talking about they found like a lot of artifacts that it's definitely Jewish, like pillars, like 12 pillars. Sumo. You know sumo, the Japanese
Yeah,
fight.
wrestler. Yeah.
Yeah, that's Jacob wrestling with the angel. Yeah, man, the whole sumo is based on the Jacob fighting with the angel.
That's interesting. I had not heard that before, but that's
It is, man.
I'm sure it does. That's the beauty of it. It matches up. You know what I mean? It all matches up. If it didn't match up, we would know, and we could say, okay, this is incorrect because of, X, Y, and Z. But when we're seeing things actually add up, where that means we're close to the truth.
Yeah. So I just got a present, man. My friend Mauricio sent me. Look, this pretty thing.
Yeah, that does look pretty cool.
Yeah, it's the flat Earth clock.
Oh, it's a clock. Nice. Is it a 24-hour clock?
Yes. It's that
nice.
Famous clock, made in Japan. This is cool, man. He sent me a message, cool. And he told me, Eddie, I'm sending you a present, and here it is. Can't wait to.
Nice, man.
Really nice. Love it. All right.
No, it's cool.
Yeah,
nice.
It is. Thanks, Mauricio. Thank you for sending me this stuff. So, man, time flies, man, and I'm sorry, it's already an hour and 17. We are past. So I'm going to give a couple of shout outs here. RV Truth, Russian vids. He made 2 good videos this week. One about the Indian rockets. The Indian rockets, it's a joke, okay? So, and then I did a quick research, and they actually sending rocket south instead of east, According to the globe theory, they should send east because with the rotation of the Earth, it catapults the rockets. But India, actually, they launch rockets to the south, which makes no sense.
If you look at where they are, there's not much beneath India, right? Like on the map.
Right. They're sending to Antarctica, maybe? Maybe they're sending to Antarctica.
Well, they just shoot a rocket to a place where they don't think anyone could see it.
Yeah.
They're ashamed of it. They want to hide it. So they want to just shoot it off somewhere, where they don't think anyone will see it.
And another video, it's about the circling sun. So I was going to play the whole video, but we don't have more time. But RV, he made it a good point. Like we have all those tropical fruits. They only grow in this region, like coconuts and durian. And there's a list of like almost 40 fruits that only grow in this region here. So that shows that we have a circling sun that keeps this area heated, They don't grow here.
They need to be in a certain area.
Right. They don't grow here. They don't grow here. So the sun has to go, just like the Bible says, the Bible is clear. I have one more slide here I want to show. And his going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his secret unto the ends of it. And there is nothing hid from the heat thereof, talking about the secret of the sun and the circular shape of the earth. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the death. Right? It's biblical. So we might have some problems with the map, maybe 200 miles off. I don't know, but this is, the flight routes and everything backs up the A map. I'm a big supporter, because I work with the flight routes a lot. As you have seen, most of my videos are based on flight routes, and it's
Yeah.
impossible. You know, the distance map is a pretty good and reliable. Oops, man, I thought I was sharing my screen, so let me share this back real quick. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
man.
let's take a look.
All
No, it's
right,
okay.
so
This has been a really good conversation, man. I like what you're sharing, and this has been pretty good.
yeah, so let
Cool.
me go over it again. So
Let's
the
see.
India actually they released the rockets toward the south, which makes no
Yeah,
sense on the ball Earth towards
there's
Antarctica.
nobody there. Yeah, because
Nobody,
there's nobody either on a flat or globe, right? They want to send it where no one is because they're
right?
ashamed,
Exactly. Exactly.
right?
So going back here to the RV, shout out to RV. So he was showing
Nice.
like
That
the
is cool.
circular, yeah, map. And when you go, you see all
That's
these
cool.
tropical. They only grow in this region, man. The durian fruit and coconut.
That's cool. I like that. That's
Yeah, yeah. They don't grow here in the North Pole or here in Australia. You won't find. It grows in this region because that's. And
that.
then I played. That's the circuit of the sun.
Yeah,
The Earth is
I'm hip to that. Yeah, I
okay.
get it.
So when he prepared the heavens, I was there when he set a compass upon the face of the earth, and his going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. Psalm 19:6. All right, so we do have a
And who is
circular
that?
sun.
Who is that passage referring to? Right? Who is that passage you mentioned? Who is it referring to?
Uh,
Being there
uh,
with God.
oh yeah.
Who
So,
was there with God in right? It was the Son, Jesus.
oh yes,
He was there with God, making it.
yeah. He's the co-creator of everything. All right, so Matthew, it was a
Nice.
pleasure. I want you to give your final words to the people in the chat and
Okay.
whoever's going to
Well,
watch it.
okay. Well, to wrap things up, Eddie, I appreciate that you invited me back to your show. I feel honored, and I acknowledge that. Yeah, you haven't done a Tartaria video before, and I feel special privilege that you invite me to have that conversation on your show. Big shout out to my family being victorious in court. You know, the bad guys lost, the good guys won. Praise God.
Amen.
I want to give a big shout out to the Glober trolls out there. The statement I want to make, right? I haven't heard anyone make this statement before. No observations could be made on globe Earth. Okay? There's no need to do any more debate, flat versus globe, because just like I said, no observations could be made on globe Earth. You could not stand. You couldn't hear anything. Like if I snap my fingers, boom, someone's on globe Earth, they would immediately be crushed, right? And then immediately the Earth would be crushed into the sun, and all that imaginary world universe would just collapse on itself over and over again for eternity.
Yes.
It's not God. What God created is reality. And I want all those Glober trolls to come to grips with reality.
Yeah, man.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
It's flat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matthew, for being here. And you're definitely going to come back. We'll have more shows. You're going to be back in the future. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close the show. I'm going to remove you from the live stream and play the final song. Thank you so much, Matt. We will be in touch later on. Okay.
Yep. All right. See you.
See you, brother. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Our show is pretty short, but because it's a Monday morning here in Japan, I got a lot of stuff to do. So I thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm gonna play a final song. It's the Shrinking Sun over the Flat Earth, and I hope to see you next week. We'll be back next week for more. God bless you guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.